a person that I have not been, you know what I'm saying, pretty vocal and pretty covering the whole Unrivaled and all these other leagues, man. I'm just not a fan of it. You don't see it in any other sport but women's basketball. You see your star franchise players playing in other leagues. It's mind blowing to me that the team even allowed them to do this, but it is what it is. It's just the nature of the sport. It goes on to say, shout out to Chloe Peterson, who reported this 4 minutes ago. Aliyah Boston, who left Phantom BC last regular season game with injury.
Indiana Fever fans have received an unwelcome update out of the Unrivaled League. Aliyah Boston has been ruled out for the remainder of the season after sustaining a right lower extremity injury during Phantom BC's final regular season game. The league confirmed the news with a brief statement, offering no detail on the nature or severity of the injury beyond the general description of the affected area. With only 3 days remaining in the Unrivaled season, Boston will not return. The timing is difficult for multiple reasons.
Season game with injury has been ruled out for the rest of the Unrivaled season due to a right lower extremity injury. Unrivaled only has 3 days left to play and did not specify the seriousness of the injury. Guys, this is very, very bad. Because training camp is right around the corner, bro. We know how far the Fever came last year to nearly making it to the
WNBA training camp is approaching, and Boston was in the middle of arguably the strongest stretch of her young career. She finished the Unrivaled season having set a new league record with 29 blocks, ranked third in defensive rebounds at 7.9 per game, and averaged 18.9 points production that earned her a spot on the All-Unrivaled second team and the league's Defensive Player of the Year award. To have that run end on an injury note with the WNBA season on the horizon is a significant concern for the Fever organization. Boston is a central piece of Indiana's roster.
The Fever came last year to nearly making it to the WNBA finals, and Caitlin Clark's coming back, and injuries was the story of last year's season, bro. A lot of injuries played a factor in the team not making it as far as we thought they could. Down there, half the team got hurt. This is a very, very, very unfortunate story. And, you know, I hate doing stories like this, man. I truly do. It's just ugly, dog, because this is going to overshadow a bunch of stuff.
Last season, injuries played a meaningful role in limiting how far the Fever advanced. The team came close to reaching the WNBA Finals, but was undermined repeatedly by health issues across the squad. Losing Boston, or having her return to training camp at anything less than full strength, reopens those same vulnerabilities, heading into a season that carries elevated expectations around Caitlin Clark and the team's continued development. The vagueness of the official injury report drew criticism from observers, with some noting that a professional sports league owes its audience more than a single-line statement referencing a broad anatomical region. Questions are also surfacing about medical infrastructure within Unrivaled, specifically whether the league has adequate support systems in place for players who are, in most cases, also the most valuable assets of their respective WNBA franchises.
It's just ugly, dog, because this is going to overshadow a bunch of stuff. Because let's say the deal get done, right? We don't know how the Fever are going to look now. You feel me? We don't know how things is going to look for the Indiana Fever, dog. This is just a very terrible situation. I just can't even lie, man. It says Aliyah Boston has been ruled out for the remainder of the season due to a right lower extremity. This is a huge bummer. Wishing Aliyah the best and a swift recovery. Her growth this Unrivaled season has been awesome. Now,
the broader debate about whether star players should be competing in off-season leagues at all has resurfaced with the Boston news. The WNBA has historically allowed and in some respects encouraged players to compete overseas or in alternative leagues during the off-season, largely because domestic salaries were not sufficient to make off-season play financially unnecessary. That calculation is changing with the new CBA, but the structural habit remains in place for now. Speaking of the CBA, negotiations are still ongoing with no resolution confirmed.
And a swift recovery. Her growth this Unrivaled season has been awesome. Now, Aliyah Boston has been one of the top players in Unrivaled. I believe she won If I'm not mistaken, Aliyah Boston is the unrivaled defensive player of the year after settling a new season record of 29 blocks. She also finished third in the league with 7.9 defensive rebounds per game. Boston was also named to all unrivaled second team, averaging 18.9 points a game. And to go down the way she went down is crazy, man. Let's check out some of these.
The Women's Basketball Players Association has submitted a revised proposal in an attempt to move past a prolonged stalemate, with salary cap structure and revenue sharing remaining the central points of dispute. Aja Wilson, speaking publicly about the negotiations, framed the core issue plainly. As the league's commercial value rises through expanded television deals and growing attendance, players expect their compensation to reflect that growth through direct revenue sharing, not just modest base salary increases. The position is not about matching NBA pay, Wilson clarified, but about receiving an equitable portion of the revenue that the product itself is generating.
Points a game. And to go down the way she went down is crazy, man. Let's check out some of these comments. Somebody said, congrats, AB, but why is she first team? It's crazy. She's the second team. I don't know, man. Let me go pull up the Unrivaled X account. I'm pretty sure they was the ones who broke this story. This is very bad, man. And I don't know why. Like, I get that they need the money, but Aliyah Boston is a franchise player, dog. And Unrivaled haven't said anything about Aliyah Boston. Yes, they did.
The WNBA recently secured a $2.2 billion media rights deal, making the revenue share argument increasingly difficult for league ownership to sidestep. Whether a deal gets done before the March 10th deadline remains uncertain, with Breanna Stewart among those who have publicly expressed doubt that the timeline will hold. For Fever supporters, both storylines are converging at an uncomfortable moment.
Player, dog. And Unrivaled haven't said anything about Aliyah Boston. Yes, they did 4 minutes ago. Aliyah Boston has been ruled out the remainder of the season due to right lower extremity injury, and that's all they freaking put. Let's check out some of these comments. This significantly impacts how the Phantom will perform going forward. She was huge offensively and defensively, but I hope she heals up. This is terrible. What? When did this happen? What? What is the actual injury? These vague reports aren't acceptable for the professional sports league. Does Unrivaled have proper medical setup?
The franchise is preparing for what should be one of its most competitive seasons, built around a player in Clark who has reshaped the league's commercial landscape. The last thing that picture needs is another injury-disrupted campaign before it even begins. The question of where and how to watch Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, and Angel Reese make their senior national team competitive debuts has been answered.
Reports aren't acceptable for the professional sports league. Does Unrivaled have proper medical setup? Hey, that is a good question, man. That is a good question. Now, since they said that question, right? Let's play devil advocate. What if Aliyah Boston just don't want to play no more? And she's getting ready for the season. That could very much be a factor. I doubt it, but that could very much be a factor, man. I don't know, but this is bad. On so many levels, this is bad. You know, I'm wishing Aliyah Boston a speedy recovery.
TNT Sports has acquired exclusive U.S. English language broadcast rights to FIBA's Women's Basketball World Cup qualifying tournament, which runs March 11th through 17th in San Juan, Puerto Rico. All games will air across truTV, TNT, and HBO Max. The schedule is as follows. USA opens against Senegal on Wednesday, March 11th, followed by a primetime matchup against Puerto Rico on Thursday, March 12th.
That's what I'm hearing. With all these stars on these teams, oh, man. I'm going to tell you, wouldn't shock me. Keep in mind, Unrivaled games are like 70,000 to 130,000 viewers. Wouldn't shock me to see 500,000 viewers on one of these games. Maybe more than that. I'm predicting at least 3 to 4 times the amount of viewers for this USA basketball situation.
Saturday, March 14th brings a contest against Italy. Sunday, March 15th features New Zealand, and the tournament closes with Spain on Tuesday, March 17th at 4:45 p.m. Every game carries the same simulcast arrangement across truTV and HBO Max, with the final match also airing on TNT proper. The broadcast deal is notable for what it signals about the commercial appetite around this particular group of players.
For this USA basketball situation, and Guys, don't look now, but Aliyah Boston's little run with Unrivaled, it has put her out for USA Basketball. This unbelievable opportunity, and now she's out. Sonia Centron, out. Injury. We'll get to that in a second because, by the way, Indiana Fever PR has put out a statement about Aliyah Boston's injury.
Unrivaled, the off-season league that has aired on the same network infrastructure, has been drawing somewhere between 70,000 and 130,000 viewers per game. USA basketball games featuring Clark, Buchers, and Reese playing together for the first time in senior international competition are expected to draw a dramatically larger audience. A figure several times higher than Unrivaled's ceiling would not be a surprise, and the direct comparison of ratings across the same broadcast platform will provide a clear data point about where the real viewership demand sits.
Indiana Fever PR has put out a statement about Aliyah Boston's injury. Kind of worried about it. Like, is playing in that Bush League going to end up costing the Fever a major, major piece of the puzzle this year? And she's got a huge contract potentially on the line if they get this CBA deal done. So USA Basketball announced today Monique Billings and Ray Burrell have been added to the USA Basketball roster for the 2026 FIBA.
The roster, however, has already absorbed two significant losses. Aliyah Boston and Sonia Citron have both been ruled out of the qualifying tournament due to injury, with Monique Billings and Ray Burrell added as replacements. Boston's situation carries particular weight given the circumstances.
FIBA Women's World Cup qualifying. You see that right there. Centron Boston no longer able to compete. So that brings us over here. Fever PR. Chloe Peterson put this out. Fever PR, quote, Aliyah Boston will return to Indianapolis for further evaluation. Additional updates will be provided as they become available. Can you imagine if we lose her because of freaking...
She was ruled out of the final days of the Unrivaled season with a right lower extremity injury, returned to Indianapolis for further evaluation, and is now missing an opportunity to compete on the senior national stage. The Indiana Fever have offered no detailed update beyond confirming she is being assessed. The overlap between her unrivaled participation and this outcome has intensified an ongoing debate about whether WNBA franchise players should be competing in off-season leagues at all, especially with large contracts potentially on the table under the new CBA.
We lose her because of freaking Unrivaled? And tell me again how there's not a conflict of interest between the WNBA/NBA owners and in this competing league when their own assets are potentially put in jeopardy due to injury? I mean, come on. It is absolutely, positively
The conflict of interest question is one that has not received enough direct attention. Several WNBA team owners have financial involvement in Unrivaled, the same league whose schedule may have contributed to 2 national team withdrawals. When a franchise's most valuable players sustain injuries in a competing league that ownership has a stake in, the structural tension becomes hard to ignore.
absolutely, positively a conflict of interest. Especially when you start talking about these new wages. TNT Sports acquires exclusive U.S. English language broadcast rights to world-class FIBA men's and women's tournaments. So now we know, folks, how you are going to be able to watch these games. All right, so here we go. Live coverage will tip off later this month with the FIBA women's...
There is also the matter of TNT Sports' own uncertain future. Following Paramount's acquisition of Warner Brothers, the parent company of TNT, TBS, and True TV, there is industry speculation about whether TNT Sports as a standalone entity survives the merger intact. Reports circulating in the media space have noted that Unrivaled's media deal with the network expires after next season, and given the ratings numbers, renewal is far from guaranteed.
This month with the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifying tournament in San Juan, Puerto Rico, March 11th through the 17th. featuring USA Basketball with 2024 gold medalist, blah, 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 blah. Additionally, superstars Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Angel Reese are expected to make their highly anticipated senior national team competitive debuts. Here we go. Wednesday, March 11th, we got USA versus Senegal, True TV.
The FIBA deal, by contrast, is a multi-year arrangement covering higher-profile events with broader public interest. The most pointed question heading into the tournament is playing time. Clark has publicly confirmed she is fully healthy and has been for months. That is not in dispute.
March 11th, we got USA versus Senegal, True TV, HBO Max. We've got Puerto Rico versus USA, March 12th, Thursday. That's a primetime game. Of course, I will put out reactions to all these games. True TV, HBO Max. Saturday, March 14th, USA versus Italy. True TV, HBO Max. New Zealand versus USA, Sunday, March 15th. True TV, HBO Max. And then Tuesday, March 17th at 4:45.
How USA Basketball deploys her, and specifically whether she starts at point guard, will be watched closely. Sue Bird's influence over the program's direction is well documented, and the Connecticut pipeline that runs through the coaching and roster structure raises legitimate questions about how minutes get distributed. A scenario in which Clark, the most commercially significant player in the sport, comes off the bench or plays limited minutes in games that will draw record viewership, would generate significant backlash. And the organization is aware of that dynamic, whether it acknowledges it publicly or not.